Here come the magic snowbird. It was holiday time when mothers were giving lots of parties. Jim and Molly had been asked to a great many, and they were very much looking forward to them. They had been to one, and then a dreadful thing happened. Baby caught chicken pox, and that meant no more parties for Molly and Jim in case they caught it too. Wasn't it unlucky? They were so disappointed. Molly cried, and Jim nearly did, but not quite. There was to be a Christmas tree at the next two parties they had been asked to, and now they would miss all the fun. It was too bad. Well, it's no use making a fuss, said Mother. You can go, and you must be brave about it. We are all very sorry for you. Look, I believe it's going to snow. You will be able to play at snowballing soon. Sure enough, the snow was falling thickly. Molly and Jim went to the window and watched it. It came down like big goose feathers, soft and silent. Soon the garden was covered in a white sheet. The next morning, there was about 15 centimeters of snow everywhere, and the two children shouted with delight, "We will build a snowman! We will snowball the paperboard! We will build a little snow hut! Put on your Wellington boots, your tailcoats, and woolly caps," said Mother. "Then you can go and do what you like." So out they ran. How lovely it was! Their feet made big marks in the snow, and when they kicked it, it flew up into the air like powder. "Let's build a snowman first," said Jim. So they began. They made big balls of snow by rolling them down the lawn. They got bigger and bigger, and then, when they were nice and large, Jim used them for the snowman's body. They put a hat on his head and a pipe in his mouth, stones down his front for buttons, and old glove on his snowy hands. He did look funny. Mother laughed when she saw him. "Now what shall we make?" asked Jim. "What about a snowbird, Molly? Did you remember how we made a bird at school out of clay? It was quite easy. Let's make a big one out of snow." "Yes, nobody makes snowbirds," said Molly. "How surprised everyone will be." So they began. First they made a round body, then they put the bird's long neck on. After that they made a head with a bit of wood sticking out. Then they gave him a long tail sweeping down to the ground. He stood on two wooden legs and had two stones for eyes, so he looked very grand indeed. "Isn't he wonderful?" cried Molly. "Just look at him, Jim. Let's call Daddy and Mommy. They will be so surprised." They went to call them, and soon Father and Mother came out into the garden to see the bird. They thought he was magnificent. Now, just at that very moment, a bright blue kingfisher flashed by. He had come from the river and was going to a nice pool he knew, which he hoped would not be quite frozen over. As he passed over the snowbird, he dropped one of his blue feathers. It fluttered down and stuck in the snowbird's head, just on the top, so that he looked as if he had a funny little crest. "Oh, look!" cried Molly. "He's got a blue feather on his top knot. Doesn't he look funny?" "Leave it," said Mother. "Kingfisher's feathers are lucky." So they left it and went in to dinner. It was still there, when they went out to play afterwards. This time they made a nice little hut with a door and window. It was just big enough for the two of them. Jim and Molly were sorry when the sun went and the garden began to get dark. "We shall have to go in to tea soon," said Jim, looking out of the little snow window. Then he suddenly said, "Oh," and sat very still, staring hard. "What's the matter?" said Molly. "Shh," said Jim in a whisper. "Keep still. I saw something strange." "Oh, what?" asked Molly. "Quick, tell me." "I thought I saw the snowbird stretch its wings," said James in astonishment. "But look, he's quite still now, isn't he, Molly?" "Yes, quite," said Molly. "Oh, Jim, did you really see that?" "Well, I thought I did," said Jim. "Let's watch and see if he moves again." They watched quietly for a few minutes, and then they were called in to tea. And in they had to go. They told Mother what they thought had happened, and she laughed. "Well, maybe that kingfisher's feather has put some magic into the snowbird," she said. "Everybody knows that there's something queer about kingfisher's feathers." "That must be it," thought the two children. "What a funny thing." After tea, they went to the nursery window and tried to see out into the garden. It was dark, but they could just make out the snowman, the snow heart, and the snowbird. As they peered out into the darkness, they heard a peculiar noise. "It sounds like some sort of bird," said Molly. "Could it be the snowbird whistling, Jim? It's a kind of singing, whistling noise all mixed up." "Let's go and see," said Jim. So they scrambled down from the window and ran to put on their coats. Then they slipped out into the garden. "Yes, it is the snowbird," said Jim in astonishment. "It must be magic, Molly." They went close up to him. He gleamed white in the darkness, and his two stony eyes shone brightly. "Look," said Jim, "he's opening and shutting his wings. He's come alive." The snowbird stared at them solemnly. He stood first on one leg and then on the other. Then he flapped his white wings and stood on tiptoe. "Hello, hello, hello," he said. "It's nice of you to come and see me. I was just feeling rather lonely." "Are you magic?" asked Molly, who was just a bit frightened. "I am, brother," answered the bird. "It's all because of that kingfisher's feather, you know. It's very lucky and it's very magic. It would make anything come alive." "Are you going to fly away?" asked Jim. "Where will you go to if you do?" "All snowbirds, snowmen, and snow animals belong to the country of the north wind," said the bird. "It's a fine land too. It's where Santa Claus lives, you know. The toys are made there by goblins and dwarfs. The Christmas trees grow there, already decorated with toys." "What? Do they grow with toys on them?" cried the children. "We have only seen the kind that you buy and dress up with toys yourself." "Pooh," said the bird. "Those are stupid. You should just see the ones that grow out in the country of the north wind. I shall see some tonight if I go." "We were going to some parties where there would be a lovely Christmas trees covered by toys," said Jim. "But now baby's got chicken pox and we can't. I do wish we could go with you. and see some trees growing with toys already on them. Well, why not? Said the bird, spreading its white wings. There's plenty of room on my back, isn't there? You can both sit there comfortably whilst I fly. I'll bring you back safely enough. Oh, what an adventure! Cried both the children in delight. You may find me rather cold to sit on, said the bird. I'm made of snow, you know. You would better get a cushion to put on my back, then you won't feel cold. Jim ran to the house and fetched a big cushion from his bedroom. He popped it onto the snowbird's back, and then he and Molly climbed on. The bird spread its wings, and then, whoosh, he rose into the air. Molly and Jim held on tight. Their hearts were beating fast, very fast, but they were enjoying themselves enormously. The bird went at a fearful rate, and the children had to pull their woolly caps well down over their ears. They looked downwards, but the earth was too dark for them to see anything except little spots of light here and there. After a long time, the bird turns its head round to them. Nearly there, he said. Isn't this fun? Yes. Oh, look, everything is getting lighter. The sun is rising, shouted the children. Yes, we have gone so fast and so far that we have met him again, said the bird. I'm going to land now, so hold tight. You will be able to see everything quite well soon. Down he went and down. Then, bump! He landed on the snowy ground. Jim and Molly jumped off his back. There was sunlight everywhere and they could see everything clearly. We haven't much time, said the snowbird. This is where the goblins live who make the rocking horses for you. He took the children to some big cave in a nearby hill, and Jim and Molly saw hundreds of tiny goblins busily hammering, painting, and putting rockers and manes on fine rocking horses. The funny thing was that the horses seemed alive and neighed and kicked and stamped all the time. The children watched in astonishment. Then the snowbird asked if they might have a ride on one of the horses, and the goblins said yes, certainly. So up they jumped, and off went the horse with them, rocking all over the cave. Jim and Molly loved it. Then the bird took them to where the dolls' houses were being built by tiny pieces. The pixies lived in them, and Molly thought it was lovely to see them sitting at the little tables on tiny chairs, peeping out of the windows and sleeping in the small bed. Now hurry up, or we shan't have time to see the Christmas trees growing, said the snowbird. Jump on my back again, they are not far away. He took them to a huge field spread with snow. In it were rows and rows of Christmas trees, some very tiny, some bigger, and some so big that Jim and Molly had to bend their heads back to see the tops. Look at the tiny ones, said Jim. They have got little buds on them. Are these buds going to grow into toys, Snowbird? Yes, they are. Look at the next row. They are bigger still, said the snowbird. The children looked. They went from row to row and saw the toys getting bigger and bigger as the trees grew in size. At first they were tight little buds. Then they loosened a little, and Jim and Molly could make out a tiny door or a little engine. The next size trees had toys a little bigger, and the largest trees of all were dressed with the biggest, loveliest things you could imagine: fairy dolls, big books, fine engines, great boxes of soldiers, footballs, and all kinds of things hung there. Will the little trees grow into big trees like this, with all the toys the right size? Asked Molly. Of course, said the snowbird. Then people buy them. Look, this tree is bought by someone. It has a label on it. It is to be fetched tomorrow. Jim read the label. For Jack Brown's party, it said. Oh, cried Molly. Why, that's the party we were going to tomorrow. To think that this lovely tree is going to be there. Oh, I wish we were going. Her eyes filled with tears, and the snowbird was terribly upset. Don't, please don't, he begged. Look, you shall have a little Christmas tree seed for your own. Plant it, and it will grow into a good size by next Christmas. And have toys on too? Asked Molly. Certainly, said the bird. He pressed something into Molly's hand. She took it. It was a tiny silver ball, the sort you see on Christmas cakes. Thank you, said Molly. I'll be sure to plant it carefully. What fun to have a Christmas tree of my own, with toys and everything on. Now it's time we went back, said the snowbird. It's nearly 7 o'clock by your time, and your mother will want to put you to bed. Jump up again, my dears. Up they climbed, and once more the snowbird flew back into the darkness, leaving the sun far behind him. The wind blew hard, and the children held on tightly, afraid of being blown off. Phew! Isn't the wind strong? Cried the bird. Then suddenly he gave a terrible cry. Oh, whatever it is, cried Molly. The wind has blown away the kingfisher's feather on my head, cried the bird. The magic's going out of me. I shall soon be nothing but a bird made of snow. Oh, I hope you get home safely before that happens. He flew more and more slowly, and it seemed to the frightened children as if he were becoming colder and colder. At last he gave a pant and fell to earth. The children tumbled off and rolled on the snowy ground. Then they picked themselves up and looked around. Are we home or not? Asked Jim. I can't see the snow heart or the snowman, can you, Molly? No, said Molly. But look, Jim, isn't that our summer house? Yes, it is. I can just see the bedrock on the top by the light of the stars. We are at the bottom of the garden. The poor old snowbird couldn't quite get back to the lawn he started from. He's changed into snow and nothing else, said Jim. What a pity that blue feather got blown away. Children, children, didn't you hear me call? Cried Mother crossly from the window. What are you doing out there in the dark? You know you ought to be inside by the fire. Come in at once. Jim and Molly picked up the cushion and ran indoors. They tried to explain to Mother where they had been and all about the magic snowbird, but she was too cross to listen. She just popped them into bed and left them. But do you know, in the morning the snowbird was standing at the bottom of the garden and not in the place where Father and Mother had seen him the day before. There you are, cried Jim. That just proves we are telling the truth, Mummy. How could he have got down there by himself? That shows he did take us last night and couldn't quite get back to the right place. Don't be silly, said Mother. You moved him yourself when you went out to play in the dark after tea yesterday. Well, anyhow, I have got that Christmas tree seed that the snowbird gave me, said Molly. I shall plant it, Mummy, and then you will soon see we are speaking the truth, for it will grow into a proper Christmas tree, all decorated with lovely toys. She ran out and planted it in her own little garden. Nothing has come up yet because it was only a week ago. But wouldn't you love to see everyone's surprise when it really grows into a beautiful Christmas tree with a fairy doll at the top and engines, books, teddy bears, and other toys hanging all over it? Good night and sweet dreams.